This video is for educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. Please consult a qualified healthcare professional before making any health-related decision.
Balance is not something we possess, it is something we negotiate every second we are alive. Even now, as you sit or stand, your body is engaged in a silent conversation with gravity. You do not feel the complexity of it because it has become automatic, but beneath awareness, a symphony of systems is collaborating to keep you upright. When a senior begins to lose balance, it is rarely because one part has failed dramatically. It is because this conversation has grown quieter, slower, less precise. To understand balance, we must first abandon the idea that it belongs to the feet alone. The feet are simply the final messengers. True balance begins in the brain, in regions designed to integrate streams of sensory information arriving from multiple sources at once. The eyes scan the environment, mapping depth, distance, and motion. The inner ear detects acceleration and the pull of gravity through tiny fluid-filled canals that respond to head movement. Sensory receptors embedded in the muscles, joints, and skin relay information about position and pressure. These receptors, known as proprioceptors, act like internal GPS signals, constantly updating the brain about where each limb is in space. When all of these signals are clear and synchronized, posture feels effortless. The body makes micro-adjustments so small that they escape conscious notice. A slight sway forward triggers subtle activation in the calf muscles. A tilt to one side activates stabilizers in the hip. The core muscles engage reflexively to keep the spine aligned. This is not rigid control, it is fluid adaptability. Balance is dynamic, never frozen. As we age, the conversation changes. Vision may become less sharp, particularly in low light. Contrast sensitivity declines, making it harder to distinguish edges and depth. The vestibular structures of the inner ear may lose some sensitivity, reducing the precision with which motion and head position are detected. Proprioceptors in the ankles and knees may send weaker or slower signals. Nerve conduction velocity decreases slightly, meaning messages take a fraction longer to travel. These changes are subtle individually, but collectively they affect the timing and accuracy of the body's responses. The key issue is not weakness alone, it is integration. The brain must compare and reconcile incoming data. If visual intimation conflicts with signals from the inner ear or joints, the brain must decide which source to trust. In youth, this integration is rapid and resilient. With aging, the margin for error narrows. Reaction times lengthen. Postural adjustments may become larger and less efficient. A small miscalculation that once would have been corrected instantly may now require a step to regain stability. Yet here lies the remarkable aspect of human biology: the system remains adaptable. The nervous system retains plasticity throughout life. Neural pathways strengthen when used and weaken when neglected. If balance is challenged in safe and controlled ways, the brain refines its coordination once again. It recalibrates. It improves signal processing. It enhances the efficiency of communication between sensory input and motor output. Consider how the brain prioritizes information. In bright daylight on even ground, visual input may dominate. In darkness, reliance shifts toward proprioception and vestibular cues. When seniors unconsciously depend almost entirely on vision, instability increases when lighting is poor or surfaces are uneven. But when training encourages awareness of foot pressure, joint position, and subtle shifts in weight, dormant pathways become more active. The brain learns to distribute responsibility more evenly among its sensory partners. Balance also depends on anticipation. The brain is constantly predicting what will happen next. When walking across a room, it estimates surface stability, calculates step length, and prepares muscle groups before each foot makes contact. This predictive capacity relies on experience and repetition. If movement becomes limited due to fear of falling, predictive accuracy declines. The body grows less accustomed to adapting, and the conversation becomes even quieter. Importantly, balance is not about eliminating sway. A perfectly still body would actually be unstable. Healthy balance includes gentle oscillations that reflect ongoing adjustments. What changes with age is not the presence of sway but its control. Excessive or poorly coordinated sway indicates that the feedback loop between sensors and muscles is delayed or inconsistent. Compassion is essential in understanding this process. A fall can feel like betrayal, as though the body has suddenly refused cooperation. But in truth, it is usually the result of gradual sensory changes that have gone unnoticed. Recognizing balance as a complex biological dialogue removes blame and replaces it with strategy. If one sensory system weakens, others can be strengthened. If reaction time slows, muscle power can improve to compensate. If integration falters, practice can refine it. The human body was never designed to defy gravity permanently. It was designed to respond to it intelligently. Aging does not erase this intelligence. It simply requires more deliberate engagement. When seniors practice mindful movement, strengthen stabilizing muscles, and stimulate sensory awareness, they are not merely exercising. They are restoring clarity to a conversation that has grown faint, reminding the brain and body how to listen carefully to one another, how to adjust with precision, how to remain in dialogue with the ground beneath them. Strength is often misunderstood in later life. It is imagined as something aesthetic, something belonging to athletes or youth, something measured by how much weight can be lifted. But in truth, strength is the body's reserve capacity, its margin of safety. It is the difference between a stumble that becomes a fall and a stumble that becomes a correction. When we speak about preventing falls, we are not speaking about dramatic feats of power. We are speaking about the quiet, responsive strength that lives in the ankles, the hips, and the deep muscles of the core. Every step you take is a controlled fall forward. The body shifts its center of mass beyond its base of support, and then the next foot catches it. This requires finely timed muscle activation. The calf muscles contract to stabilize the ankle as the foot meets the ground. The quadriceps and hamstrings coordinate to control the knee. The gluteal muscles stabilize the pelvis, preventing it from dropping side to side. Deep abdominal and spinal muscles maintain alignment, so that the upper body remains balanced over the hips. When these muscle groups are strong and responsive, they act like intelligent springs, absorbing force, correcting small deviations, and restoring equilibrium almost instantly. With aging, muscle mass gradually declines in a process known as sarcopenia. This is not merely a cosmetic change, it is a functional shift. Muscle fibers shrink, particularly the fast, twitch fibers responsible for quick reactions. The nervous system's ability to recruit muscle fibers efficiently may diminish. As a result, when the body encounters an unexpected perturbation, a slippery surface, an uneven step, the corrective response may be slower or weaker. The delay might be measured in fractions of a second, but in the physics of falling, fractions matter. However, muscle tissue remains highly adaptable throughout life. Even in the 8th or 9th decade, resistance training stimulates hypertrophy, increases neuromuscular coordination, and enhances power output. The key principle is progressive overload, challenging the muscles slightly beyond their habitual level so that adaptation is triggered. This does not require heavy machinery or extreme exertion. It can begin with controlled chair rises, gentle squats holding onto a support, heel raises to strengthen the calves, or step-ups onto a low platform. The stimulus must be consistent and intentional. Strength training improves more than muscle size. It enhances motor unit recruitment, the ability of the nervous system to activate a greater number of muscle fibers simultaneously. It refines synchronization between opposing muscle groups. It increases tendon stiffness, allowing more efficient transfer of force. It also improves bone density, which is critical in reducing fracture risk if a fall does occur. The biological ripple effects extend far beyond the visible muscle. Particularly important are the muscles surrounding the hip. The gluteus medius, located on the side of the hip, plays a central role in stabilizing the pelvis during walking. When this muscle is weak, the pelvis tilts with each step, increasing lateral sway. Over time, this instability compounds. Strengthening the hip abductors reduces side-to-side movement and improves gait symmetry. Likewise, strengthening the ankle dorsiflexors, the muscles that lift the front of the foot, reduces the risk of tripping by ensuring adequate foot clearance during walking. Core strength deserves special attention. The core is not merely the abdominal wall, it includes deep spinal stabilizers that maintain posture and respond to shifts in load. When these muscles weaken, posture becomes stooped, the center of mass shifts forward, and balance becomes more precarious. Strengthening the core improves trunk control and reduces compensatory movements that strain other joints. Equally important is power, the ability to generate force quickly. While maximal strength provides stability, power allows rapid correction. Training that includes slightly faster but controlled movements, such as rising from a chair with intent or performing small step reactions, enhances the speed of neuromuscular response. The objective is not speed for its own sake but responsiveness. Consistency is more influential than intensity. Muscles respond to regular stimulation. Even 2 or 3 sessions per week can produce measurable improvements in strength and stability over months. The body does not require perfection, it requires repetition. Each contraction sends a message through the nervous system that this capacity is still needed, still valuable. There is also a psychological dimension to strength. When individuals feel physically stronger, their confidence increases. They move with less hesitation. Their gait becomes more natural. This reduces the stiff, guarded posture that often accompanies fear of falling. Strength restores not only physical capability, but also a sense of agency. It is important to approach training with safety and progression. Movements should begin within a comfortable range and gradually become more challenging as control improves. Supportive surfaces, stable chairs, or handrails can provide security during early stages. The goal is not exhaustion but adaptation. Ultimately, strength is resilience stored in muscle fibers. It is potential energy waiting to be used in a moment of imbalance. It is the biological buffer between intention and gravity. When seniors invest in strengthening the muscles that anchor them to the ground, they are not chasing youth. They are cultivating stability. They are enhancing the body's capacity to respond intelligently to the unexpected, reinforcing the structural framework that allows every step to be deliberate, supported, and secure. The body learns balance the same way it learns language, through repetition, error, and refinement. No one is born with perfect postural control. As infants, we sway, topple, and try again. Each small instability becomes data. The nervous system records it, analyzes it, and adjusts future responses. What we call balance is simply the memory of thousands of corrections layered upon one another. In later life, this learning process does not disappear. It only slows if we stop engaging it. When balance is no longer challenged, the nervous system reduces its investment in maintaining precision. Pathways that are not stimulated gradually lose efficiency. The cerebellum, a region deeply involved in coordination and motor learning, thrives on feedback. It refines movement by comparing intention with outcome. If the body never ventures slightly beyond its comfort zone, the cerebellum receives little new information. Stability then becomes rigid rather than adaptive. Practicing balance is not about standing perfectly still. In fact, stillness can be misleading. True balance involves controlled instability. When a person stands on one foot, subtle sways emerge almost immediately. The ankle shifts, the hip adjusts, the arms may move slightly to counterbalance. These micro-corrections are precisely what the nervous system needs. Each sway generates sensory input from muscles, joints, and the inner ear. The brain integrates these signals and sends corrective commands. Over time, the corrections become faster and more efficient. This process is known as neuromuscular adaptation. When balance exercises are performed consistently, the communication between sensory receptors and motor neurons strengthens. Synaptic connections become more responsive. Reaction times shorten. The body begins to anticipate perturbations rather than merely reacting to them. What once felt unstable begins to feel manageable. Simple exercises can stimulate profound changes. Standing with feet together narrows the base of support, increasing the demand on stabilizing muscles. Placing one foot directly in front of the other challenges lateral control. Shifting weight slowly from side to side improves awareness of center of mass. These movements appear modest, yet they activate complex neural circuits. They train proprioception, the internal sense of joint position, which often diminishes subtly with age. Closing the eyes during safe balance practice further deepens adaptation. Without visual input, the body must rely more heavily on vestibular and proprioceptive cues. This strengthens alternative sensory pathways. It teaches the brain not to depend exclusively on sight for orientation. Such training can be transformative, especially in environments where lighting is poor or visual information is unreliable. Dynamic balance exercises add another dimension. Walking heel to toe in a straight line requires precision and coordination. Turning the head while walking challenges vestibular integration. Stepping over small obstacles enhances anticipatory control. These tasks simulate real-world conditions where surfaces are uneven and distractions are common. The more varied the practice, the more adaptable the nervous system becomes. One of the most effective modalities for older adults is slow, deliberate movement systems such as Tai Chi. The continuous weight shifts and mindful transitions cultivate body awareness and postural alignment. The slowness is intentional. It allows the brain to process feedback in real time, reinforcing correct patterns. Research consistently shows that such practices reduce fall risk by improving both physical and cognitive aspects of balance. Cognitive engagement itself is a crucial element. Balance is not purely mechanical, it is attentional. Divided attention, such as walking while conversing, increases fall risk because the brain must allocate resources between tasks. Practicing dual task exercises in safe settings can strengthen this capacity. For example, counting backward while performing gentle stepping drills challenges coordination under mild cognitive load. The goal is to improve adaptability without overwhelming the system. Fear often interrupts this learning process. When someone becomes anxious about falling, movements grow stiff. The body attempts to freeze instability rather than respond fluidly. This rigidity reduces the very micro-adjustments that sustain balance. Gradual, supported exposure to balance challenges rebuilds trust. Confidence returns not through reassurance alone, but through experience. Consistency matters more than intensity. Short daily sessions of balance practice are more beneficial than sporadic effort. The nervous system responds to repetition. Each session reinforces neural pathways. Over weeks and months, these small increments accumulate into measurable improvement. Importantly, improvement does not require perfection. Mild swaying during practice is not failure, it is feedback. A brief touch to a support surface is not weakness, it is calibration. The objective is not to eliminate instability, but to refine the body's ability to manage it. The aging nervous system remains capable of adaptation. While changes in sensory acuity may occur, plasticity persists. When seniors practice balance intentionally, they send a message to the brain that coordination remains necessary. The brain responds by preserving and enhancing relevant circuits. Balance improves when it is practiced because practice reawakens communication. It restores clarity to sensory signals. It strengthens the timing of muscular responses. It sharpens anticipation. It transforms hesitation into measured adjustment. Through consistent challenge, the body remembers how to negotiate gravity with subtlety and control, turning each small sway into an opportunity for recalibration and renewed stability. Many falls are blamed on weakness or age, yet the surrounding environment often plays an equally decisive role. The human body does not move in isolation. Every step is a negotiation between internal capacity, external conditions. When the environment is predictable and supportive, balance requires less effort. When it is cluttered, dim, uneven, or visually confusing, the nervous system must work harder to interpret signals and generate precise corrections. For seniors, even small environmental stressors can tip the balance between stability and instability. Consider lighting. Vision provides essential spatial orientation. It helps the brain judge distance, detect obstacles, and perceive surface changes. As visual acuity declines with age, contrast sensitivity becomes especially important. Low light reduces contrast, blurring edges between steps and floors. Shadows may conceal subtle changes in elevation. Glare from polished surfaces can distort perception. When visual information becomes unreliable, the brain's predictive accuracy decreases. A misjudged step may follow. Improving lighting is therefore not cosmetic, it is neurological support. Bright, evenly distributed illumination reduces ambiguity and decreases the cognitive load required to navigate a room. Floor surfaces matter as well. Loose rugs, curled carpet edges, uneven tiles, and slippery materials create unpredictable feedback. The foot relies on tactile receptors in the skin to detect pressure and texture. These signals inform the brain about ground stability. When surfaces shift unexpectedly, the feedback loop must operate rapidly. In younger individuals, quick muscular corrections may compensate. In seniors, slower reaction times increase risk. Securing rugs, using non-slip mats, and ensuring smooth transitions between rooms transform the environment from adversary to ally. Staircases represent another critical interface between body and architecture. Steps must be uniform in height and depth for predictable movement. Handrails on both sides provide mechanical assistance and psychological reassurance. The presence of a sturdy rail changes motor behavior. Individuals distribute load through the upper limbs, reducing strain on lower extremities and improving balance. This is not dependence. It is strategic support aligned with biomechanics. Bathrooms are particularly hazardous spaces because they combine hard surfaces with moisture. Wet floors reduce friction, increasing slip risk. Installing grab bars near showers and toilets introduces fixed points of stability. These bars allow controlled weight transfer during transitions from sitting to standing. Non-slip flooring and shower mats further reduce environmental uncertainty. The goal is to minimize surprises. Clutter introduces another layer of complexity. Objects left in pathways force abrupt changes in gait. The brain must replan steps quickly, increasing attentional demand. For seniors whose cognitive processing speed may be modestly reduced, this additional demand can delay motor responses. Maintaining clear walking paths simplifies navigation and preserves mental resources for postural control. Footwear is an extension of the environment. Shoes with worn soles or inadequate grip alter friction between foot and floor. High heels or excessively soft slippers reduce stability. Well-fitted shoes with firm soles and adequate traction enhance sensory input and mechanical support. They provide consistent feedback to the proprioceptive system, reinforcing confidence in each step. Outdoor environments present additional variables. Uneven sidewalks, gravel paths, and weather conditions introduce unpredictability. Awareness and preparation become crucial. Using assistive devices such as canes when appropriate is not an admission of decline, it is an intelligent adaptation. A cane widens the base of support and provides extrasensory feedback. It transforms a narrow stability margin into a broader one. Environmental design also influences behavior indirectly. When spaces feel safe and navigable, individuals move more freely. When spaces feel hazardous, movement becomes hesitant. Hesitation alters gait mechanics, often shortening stride and reducing arm swing. This guarded pattern may paradoxically increase instability. By optimizing surroundings, we encourage natural movement patterns that support balance. Cognitive load deserves attention in this context. Navigating complex environments requires attention. When attention is divided, perhaps by carrying items, conversing, or multitasking, postural control may suffer. Designing environments that reduce unnecessary complexity allows attentional resources to remain focused on movement. Simple changes, such as placing frequently used objects within each to avoid excessive bending or stretching, reduce destabilizing movements. Environmental modifications should be proactive rather than reactive. Waiting for a fall before making changes overlooks the preventive potential of thoughtful design. The cost of installing better lighting or securing loose carpets is small compared to the physical and emotional consequences of injury. There is also a philosophical dimension to environmental safety. Creating a supportive home does not signify fragility. It reflects respect for the realities of aging physiology. Just as eyeglasses compensate for declining vision, environmental adjustments compensate for changes in reaction time and sensory acuity. They honor the body's evolving needs without diminishing autonomy. Balance is not solely cultivated within muscles and nerves, it is shaped by context. When the environment aligns with human biomechanics and sensory processing, the body performs with greater ease. Stability becomes less about constant vigilance and more about harmonious interaction with surroundings. By reducing hazards and enhancing sensory clarity, we lower the threshold for safe movement, allowing seniors to navigate their world with steadiness, dignity, and reduced risk of unexpected disruption. Fear can alter the body more quickly than weakness ever could. The moment someone experiences a fall, or even a near fall, a subtle shift occurs in the nervous system. Movement, once automatic, becomes monitored. Steps grow shorter. Muscles tighten preemptively. The spine stiffens. The arms draw closer to the body. What began as a protective instinct gradually transforms into a restrictive pattern. Confidence, though invisible, becomes one of the most powerful determinants of balance. When the brain perceives threat, it activates survival circuits. These circuits prioritize stability through rigidity. On the surface, this seems logical: stiffen the body to avoid collapse. But balance does not thrive in rigidity. It requires fluid micro-adjustments, the ability to sway slightly and correct seamlessly. Excessive contraction of muscles reduces responsiveness. Instead of adaptive flexibility, the body becomes mechanically constrained. Reaction time may paradoxically slow because movements are no longer efficient. Fear of falling also alters gait mechanics. Research shows that individuals who lack confidence often reduce their walking speed and stride length. While slower walking might appear safer, it changes the rhythm of movement. Natural arm swing diminishes, decreasing counterbalance. The center of mass shifts subtly. These adjustments, driven by caution, can increase instability rather than reduce it. Confidence, therefore, is not merely psychological comfort. It is a neuromuscular state. It reflects trust in the body's capacity to respond appropriately to disturbances. When confidence is present, movements are smoother and more coordinated. When absent, hesitation interrupts the flow of motor commands. Rebuilding confidence begins with exposure, but exposure must be controlled and progressive. If a person avoids movement entirely after a fall, the nervous system receives no opportunity to relearn safe responses. Muscles weaken further. Proprioceptive sensitivity declines. The fear becomes reinforced. In contrast, small, supervised challenges allow the brain to experience success again. Standing with support and noticing stability. Taking measured steps while holding a rail. Performing balance drills with a nearby chair. Each successful experience updates the brain's prediction models. The internal narrative shifts from vulnerability to capability. There is a powerful feedback loop between perception and physiology. When individuals believe they are unstable, the brain subtly primes muscles for defensive contraction. When they believe they are capable, muscle activation becomes more efficient. This is not imagination, it is neurobiology. Expectations influence motor output through top-down regulation of neural circuits. Social support also shapes confidence. Practicing balance exercises in a group setting, guided by a trained professional, can normalize the experience of instability. Observing peers improve reinforces the belief that change is possible. Encouragement from family members, when offered without condescension, strengthens resolve. The human nervous system is sensitive to sensual cues. Reassurance delivered with respect reduces anxiety and promotes engagement. Mindfulness techniques can further modulate fear responses. Slow breathing reduces sympathetic nervous system activation. Directing attention to the sensation of feet concting the ground increases present moment awareness. Instead of anticipating a fall, attention anchors to actual sensory input. This recalibrates threat perception. The brain begins to distinguish between realistic risk and imagined catastrophe. Physical strength and balance training contribute to confidence indirectly. As muscles strengthen and coordination improves, individuals feel tangible differences in stability. Rising from a chair becomes easier. Walking across uneven ground feels less daunting. These lived experiences reinforce self-efficacy. Confidence is earned through repeated evidence. Importantly, rebuilding confidence does not mean denying risk. It means developing realistic appraisal. Gravity remains constant, surfaces can be uneven, but risk can be managed. The difference lies in preparation rather than avoidance. When seniors internalize that preparation increases safety, fear loses dominance. Language matters in this process. Describing balance challenges as opportunities for strengthening rather than tests of fragility reframes the experience. The body is not failing, it is adapting. Each exercise becomes an investment rather than a reminder of limitation. Over time, the posture changes subtly. Shoulders relax, steps lengthen slightly, the head lifts. These physical shifts signal deeper neurological recalibration. The body no longer braces against imagined instability. It responds dynamically instead. Confidence restores natural movement because it permits fluidity. It allows the nervous system to operate without excessive interference from fear-based signals. Muscles activate in coordinated patterns rather than defensive stiffness. Reaction times improve because hesitation diminishes. Ultimately, confidence is the bridge between physical capability and functional performance. A person may possess adequate strength and balance skills, but without trust, those capacities remain underutilized. Rebuilding confidence transforms potential into expression. It reestablishes harmony between mind and body. Through gradual exposure, supportive practice, mindful awareness, and repeated success, seniors can reclaim the quiet assurance that their bodies remain responsive, capable, and prepared to meet the ground beneath them with steadiness and intention.